Can you just claim to be a professional in magic and charge people? Yes. Greetings, my name is Blaze, and today I actually wanted to do a video request video. So a little shout out to BlueSage, who also has a YouTube channel here and does videos around witchcraft. The request was, could you do a follow-up video on the flip side of this, that because there is no federal oversight, anyone can make claims of professorship in witchcraft, that anyone can set up an academy and their own accreditation agency so they can charge some outlandish price and give weekend classes that have no value. So when it comes to schools and magical practices, can you just claim to be a professional in magic and charge people? Yes. Should you? No, I don't think you should. But at the same time, I think that when it comes to magic and mysticism, it's very similar to martial arts. The aptitude and the ability to do does not always reflect with the desire to teach. So in some cases, you might have someone who is an expert and really good at what they do, but they're terrible at teaching other individuals. So in this regard, maybe they shouldn't teach. Likewise, you could have somebody who is crappy or subpar at a particular ability, but they are incredible at teaching others foundations and fundamental skills to help build and develop their own abilities. Again, applies to both magic and martial arts. So in that case, maybe they should teach. However, in this particular scenario, I believe what BlueSage is getting at is specifically that some individuals don't care about their ability, nor their ability to teach. They want to prey on your wallets. They know people are interested, and this can happen. And I think that's something to keep in mind, that even when you are researching magic schools to go to or teachers to learn from, consider how much are they charging and how much value are you getting out of what they're expecting you to pay or the time you're putting into it. Just because someone says they teach magic doesn't mean they're teaching authentic. So I think that's something to keep in mind, that when you are looking for a teacher or a school to learn from, consider what their credentials are, what path they're following, and is this truly someone that you want to learn from? Are they fair in their prices? Are they well knowledgeable and educated in their particular art or craft? That's something to keep in mind with some of these colleges and online schools and stuff. Now, some of the ones that I've mentioned, I wanted to make sure that I mentioned specifically that I have experience with OBOD, and I've been very happy with their material. I could actually do a review over the material sometime, but I know there's some other videos out there like that, so maybe you'll eventually get around to it if people are interested to hear my thoughts. But I also mentioned the other ones that I have seen and I have heard about and I thought would be worth considering, but at the same time I haven't had any direct experience with. Gray School of Wizardry, for example, or even ADF. I don't know what their material is like. So it is very possible that they might have bad material. But at the same time, I've heard good reviews about them. I had a good feeling about them at least, so I figured I would at least suggest it for something for you to check out and research. But yeah, anything that you're researching or anyone that you hear about or anyone who's offering something, be aware, just because somebody says they can teach it doesn't mean they are capable of teaching it. Be aware that if you're going to spend your time and you're going to dedicate time to trying to learn something, but I think the same thing could be said for books. There's a lot of authors. People can get published. You can get Amazon right now and get published and fill in whatever you want. But you can look at these books and folks will either A, repeat the same thing, or B, some of these authors, it's like they spit out one book and that's it, or they will jump around. You'll have authors that'll write about a whole bunch of different traditions, and it's like, do you really have exposure to all those traditions? Should this really be the go-to book for you to learn from when this author is supposedly an expert in Nordic traditions and Irish traditions and English traditions and Japanese traditions? And like, it's possible. Yes, it's possible that folks could go and research multiple paths and have enough information to write a credible book on it. But just be aware of that. Credentials and how knowledgeable someone may or may not be. And again, I don't know. I see where BlueSage is coming from, and I understand why he wanted me to bring up the flip side of this. Just because they're labeling or advertising something, just like anything else that you might be a consumer for, whether it be lessons or certifications or teachings, you're going to have your little side schools that are going to accredit you in these new fads. Doesn't necessarily mean it's like the go-to thing. That's another thing to point out, especially when it comes to terms such as witchcraft or Wicca. And I'm going to specifically name those two. They are different, but I'm naming both of those because they are very well known and they're very popular. I've also started to see this in the druid circle as well. So druids as well. Druidry and Wicca and witchcraft. These are three things that are just blowing up in popularity. The thing that you're finding, though, is there is a core set of principles and beliefs that are universal. However, the actual practice of and belief of will vary from person to person and coven to coven, which is causing an issue. Because if you start having someone say, hey, I'm a druid. Okay. What makes you a druid? Well, I'm a druid because I relate with the name. Okay. Did you have any formal training? No, but I'm a druid. Okay. I'm a self-taught druid. I believe in X, Y, and Z, and I use runes or tarot cards or all this other stuff, but that's not druidic in origin, so it's okay to use that. But if you're going to claim that as druidry and try to teach that to someone else who's interested in becoming a druid, then you're now skewing what that name is. And the same thing applies to witchcraft. I'm a witch. Why are you a witch? Did you have any formal training? Yeah, I actually had a little bit. I took a few classes through an online course. Okay, so you had some training and you've done some of your own study. Yeah, so I'm a witch and I want to teach witchcraft. Okay, great, and I'm going to teach you the runes. The Nordic runes? What does that have to do with witchcraft? Again, you have individual practitioners. They have so much available to them today. You have so many different realms of study that you can pursue out there, different magical practice and spiritualities that you can combine them, which today most folks seem to be more eclectic, kind of mix and match. And there's nothing wrong with that, but be aware of that and give acknowledgement to that. When you start having folks that are claiming certain titles or traditions and then lumping everything they learn underneath it, if you don't separate that out, you're going to cause confusion. And I think that's happening a lot today. You have people who are claiming these terms and they're kind of building their own practice. And I think that's one thing I like about some of the traditions, such as Obod. They give you the same set core principles. They allow you to build your own path, but they're teaching the core principles. They're not teaching the adaptations you do. And I think when some folks teach, they try to influence it too much with their own personal ideology, their own personal path, and their own personal likes and dislikes, instead of teaching that core principle that they might have learned from. So if you do go to one of these groups and you do learn from an accredited school that actually has reason to say, yes, this is a legit practice that can trace it back. Again, with Obod, they'll tell you it's a revival movement. They're not saying they're the ancient druids. They're a new revival movement. But if one of those people that goes to Obod and studies their stuff starts teaching someone else, and they're teaching aspects, they start influencing it with their own things and adapting pieces they might have picked up from here and there. You know, I studied some Hinduism, so I'm going to throw some of that in. I studied some Shintoism, I'm going to throw some of that in. Studied some, whatever the case may be, or just grabbing stuff and putting it together and throwing it in and then trying to say that's druidry. Now you're skewing what druidry is, and you're not teaching druidry anymore. You're teaching your own path. And I think that does happen a lot. And I think that's why, again, we have a lot of very confused individuals. And witchcraft and Wicca, I see it more in than druidry. Druidry, again, is starting to spark people's interest because it's something new and fresh. Seemingly so, even though obviously it's an old term. But with Wicca and witchcraft and stuff, that's been thrown around and got huge and popular, and people sort of incorporating it. I give you a great example. Wicca. Wicca has a very specific god and goddess. That's right. There is an actual god and goddess, but you'll have individuals who will practice Wicca, and they'll start picking Egyptian gods and goddesses, and they'll start picking Irish Celtic ones, and they'll mix and match them together, and it's like they're falling away from what it was and turning it into what they want it to be. But when you teach others what you want it to be, you're no longer teaching them the core of what it was. So anyway, hopefully that is kind of what BlueSage was looking for. That's my thoughts, at least, based upon your comment. That's my opinion. So hopefully y'all like this. Remember to thumb up, like, and subscribe. Share your thoughts below. You know, what do you think? Do you think that there is a problem with folks claiming professionalism and charging others to learn their path when in fact they're meshing it, making it their own, and just using hype words to draw people in? Or do you think this is okay and there's no problem with it, that the term shouldn't have any meaning and it should just be a personal thing? So again, you know, leave your thoughts below. I'd be interested in hearing them. And if you have any video requests, let me know. Thanks for watching.